Hello everyone, it's Jean from Inky Studio. Welcome back. Just want to give you a short update. As some of you know, we live in Florida where Milton hit. We were actually in the eye of the storm, which has the highest winds, but fortunately we don't live on the coast and we don't live in a flood zone. So the damage we suffered was minimal to our home, and so I feel really fortunate about that. But as you go towards the coast and you go out to maybe a mobile home park, or you get closer to where there's water, it is very sad and very heartbreaking. And some people just really did lose everything. And some people have an awful, long haul ahead of them to rebuild. And how many will rebuild, I don't know. But anyways, it's over, and I don't want to experience it again, and I don't recommend it. So anyways, I'm going to move on. I'm working on my little Christmas journal. Of course, I'm doing the soft cover, and I'm using some Tim Holtz fabric. And this is it's a sandwich with a batting in between, and I've sewn around the outside. Put on some little lace there, and I made this little cover, little dangly. At the end, I've got like a vintage earring that I've put onto there, and a little bit of a charm, and then I put a bead from that earring, and I put that in the middle there. So I'm really liking how this turned out. I will glue this on at the end, just in case I'm going to do something else I don't know, and that way I'll know better where to place it as the spine gets filled up. So that's where I am on the cover of the journal. Now today, I'm going to have a little video, a little fast forward video that shows how I put together these fabric tags. And so let's get started with that. The first tag, I took a piece of muslin that's been tea stained and a piece of batting. And I'm going to, before I put a backing on it, I'm going to do all my sewing on it first. I want to put a heart on, like a heart design here on the front. And so I'm just going to draw something, make sure that I stay within the boundaries of that tag. And I'm not being really fancy about it. I'm just cutting it out and not worrying about accuracy or anything. Kind of want it to be a rather uneven type of a heart there. And I'm going to, at first I just thought I would use this red ticking, and I'm just going to pencil around it like a template, and then I'll just cut it out. And I did everything on the back so it wouldn't show on the front. So I thought I would go with the ticking heart, and I'm going to sew inside that heart then all the way around. But what I ended up doing was I ended up getting some wool felt that I have, and I used that instead, and I thought the stitches showed up a little bit better that way. And I'm going to just kind of audition different, couple different trims here. And then a cloth scrap from Tim Holtz's fabric for the little tab up there. And I sloppily stitched inside that heart a little bit. And then I'm going to use this lace as the trim, and I already had a button sewed onto the lace. And what I'm doing here is I'm just going to attach that button with sort of a tie. And I'm using pearl cotton, which is a little on the thick side. And I'm just going to tie it there. And I kind of like that little look. It's sort of a shabby look. It's a little bit more effective when you use a darker color. But I just put that on like so. Then I think I'm ready now to sew all the way around. Oh no, I'm not doing that yet. Not doing that yet. I have a word, and I'm going to glue the word on with my glitter glue.
And I thought I would leave it that way, but I ended up stitching on each side of that little label there. And yeah, on each side of that label. And then I stitched in the tab, and now I'm going to put the back, which is another piece of muslin, and then I'm going to stitch around the outside of it. Now, to write on it, I have a piece of cardstock I've sewn around, and I'm just going to glue that to the back so that you have an opportunity to either write on it, or maybe you have a photograph you want to glue on, or I don't know. Just something, a better surface to use. And I'm using my Fabri-Tac for that. And because it's so thick, you don't have to worry about that seeping to the front and being kind of shiny. So that was just a simple tag out of a quilt sandwich type of a deal. Now I'm going to do something different. I've done something different in each of these tags. This time I'm just starting with a piece of cardstock, and on one side, of course, I printed a design. And now I'm using Tim Holtz fabric again, but this one has these scenes in it, sort of like these Dickens vintage scenes. And you know, a lot of fabric has scenes in it. It's kind of fun to look for those at the fabric store or the quilt store. And I'm just going to use that as my collaged background, sort of a neutral collaged background. I put in a glue stick, just enough in the middle, just enough to like tack down the fabric. So it doesn't creep when I cut it out. And I was careful not to glue the very sides of it because I want to be able to sew around it quickly and not have to wait for it to dry. And I didn't want to gum up my needle, so that's why I kind of stayed to the middle. And now it's sort of a plain neutral, of course. I'm going to take a little piece of muslin here, and I put it over some quilt batting, and I'm going to stamp it. And I thought that the quilt batting would make a difference, make it so that you know, there's more contact of the stamp onto the fabric, but in the end it really wasn't any better than just stamping on a hard surface, to tell you the truth. It was about the same, but it was an experiment. And I tried to tear all of my fabrics, and the reason being is that you can get a straight tear, and that way I don't have to cut it out. I don't have to measure and cut out a square. I mean, you just get one just by tearing it. It's just sort of a quick way for me anyways, and I like the ragged edges anyhow. So I have a little bit of lace and needs just a pop of color. So I'm going to use my shears, my pinking shears, and just do a little tiny strip, just enough to give it a little bit of interest. Now, I always save the ends of the fabric. You know, most fabric has this wording of some sort that kind of identifies what the fabric is. And this particular piece of Tim Holtz is called Holidays Past. So I just am going to put in the word holidays. I save all the ends of the fabric because, you know, I end up using them for something, and there's always something interesting there. Sometimes it's words, sometimes it's not. And I'm going to ink around the fabric. And just like you distress paper, you can distress fabric. Just to kind of give it kind of a border, I feel like. And I'm putting a little bit on the inside too, just to shade it up a little bit. And So I'm going to get ready to sew around this. Still trying to add more, just, I don't know, I just feel like something more needs to go down. Just haven't figured it out yet. I did remember that I had this lace that actually matched the big piece of lace, so I thought I'm going to put this on top because it also reminds me of snow on rooftops for some reason. I thought, well, that's be a nice place to put that. So it kind of dresses it up a little bit more. And I sewed on the top, and I am now going to glue this little piece on the bottom to keep it intact there. So I've sewn around the tag all the way around, and I've sewn the top of it. And now I'm going to sew around that piece of ephemera right there in that area. Now, because I'm only got a layer of fabric and a layer of cardstock, of course you're going to see stitching on the back. And I stitched several times around that area there, and so I finally decided it was missing a little bit of something shiny. And even though this is vintage, it's hard to pick up here, but this little piece of trim is kind of shiny. I don't know. Because it's Christmas, you just need a little bit of bling, I think. Now this makes a really thin tag. The other tag is thick because you've got the batting in it. Now this one, I'm going to do like faux quilting. So I've got scraps, and I'm putting this on it's heavier than muslin. It's like a duck. It's a heavier cotton piece. And I'm just going to glue the middle places in there, and then stitch around each little piece like so. And I have this tablecloth that has these really beautiful see-through flowers that remind me of poinsettias. So I'm going to put that in the middle, and then I'm going to sew in some beads here. Now you could also use French knots and do the same thing, but I thought the beads would be really fun. Kind of bling it out a little bit on this one too. Now it's still kind of floppy, so I needed to go back in and tack down each of the little petals on there. But you could use any kind of a see-through lace. It would be really fun to put on here, so that you still see the quilting, but not totally. Or you don't have to put anything on. That's for sure. So now I'm going to back it up with some cardstock, some printed cardstock. And so this has made the tag. It's still a thin tag when you get done, but it's a little bit firmer. It's a little stiffer. Feels more substantial by having that heavier fabric there as sort of the base, and then putting more fabric over it. So I've inked both sides just so that the white doesn't show, using my fabric tack and putting that on. So that turned out really fun as well. The nice thing about fabric tack is it does stay wet for a little while, and so I was able to add the tab that I forgot to put in while I was gluing the two pieces together. So yeah, I was able to get that in, kind of like at the last minute deal there.
So those are my fabric tags. My favorite as far as texture goes, of course, is the one with the batting in it. But I will say it is thick, and it's going to take up some room in the journal. Uh, and this one here, where it was only just the cardstock and the fabric, is very thin. Not very, but it's thin. So that kind of fixes that thick problem. However, it's just a little bit floppy. I mean, it's not too bad, but a little bit. But I really do rather like this one. It's still on the thin side. It's like the medium. It's like in between these two over here, and but the duck cloth and the extra 2 layers of the fabric and the cardstock kind of gives it substantial body and everything. But that is those are the three tags I have. So thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you again real soon, and I will continue to work on the Christmas journal, and I hope you have a great and crafty day. Bye.